All right, guys. We'll just do this as the first video or first step in the process. Obviously, got the wheels and tires off. Got the passenger rotor off. This uses a T30 retention bolt, which is really nice to have, so you're not fiddling with the rotor when you're putting the caliper back on. Also, it serves an assembly line purpose, so the rotor doesn't fall off on the assembly line. It's a lot better idea or design than the old clips they used to put on here. In fact, those clips caused a lot of problems with wheels that weren't cut with a recess. If you look at your factory wheels on your JKs, or a JK, or really any car, there's a hole or a recess cut in the back of the hub on the wheel to accommodate for the assembly line washer. But anyway, that's another conversation. But anyway, T30, and I wanted to bring up a point about the rear differential on these new axles. Jeep did an awesome thing and included a reusable gasket, but there's a pro and con to the reusable gasket. The pro would be it's reusable, and it makes the cover really easy to come off versus being just loaded up with RTV. But the con is that it leaves a gap, so you can see the gasket in there, right? And it comes off really easy. I already drained the diff, obviously. Left these bolts in here so I can drain it like this. I don't really like using the drain plugs, even though I'm going to take it off and seal them and torque them. And in fact, on the front axle, with the drain plug, we're even just going to weld them all closed, front and rear axle. Not on this Jeep, I'll do it on mine, but if anybody wanted that done, I could weld them up. But anyway, so with this shut, it leaves a gap here, and it's just another spot to get caught. One improvement they made over the JK was the cover now is actually either the same size or smaller than the housing. The JK cover is actually just a hair bigger than the housing, and it would get caught on it would be a lip right here that would get caught, and then you basically would just peel the cover up, and then your rear diff would leak all over the place. This was very common, very well-known issue on the JK version. In fact, the Jeep Jamboree, if you wanted to run the Rubicon, it would be required to have a aftermarket rear diff cover, just so you're not leaking oil everywhere on the trail. Anyway, so you have this gap as a con for this gasket, but you have this lip here that's cast into the housing. You have this gusset, it's all for strength, that's cast into the housing. And then you come up here to the I don't know, I guess you'd call that the pinion race structure, is that would be where the pinion head is. The largest load for the pinion is right there, and it's just you have this as being 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the gap here, 5 possible places to catch something on the trail. Right, and then you have this huge gusset right here. I mean, you get hung up there, there's nothing you can do but back up and pick a different line. To get around that, there are diff covers, of course. I have the golden diaper on mine, which is the metal cloak rear diff cover, and just a good talking point while we're doing this. I could show you that, I guess. I think Rusty's or somebody makes a diff cover that actually covers the rear pinion and drive shaft flange. So there's the metal cloak version. I call it, like I said, the golden diaper, and it covers all of that, so it eliminates any issues when you're wheeling. I had it on Fat Ninja. I know UNC Rubicon's got it. There's several people that have got it. It's a great little product. Anyway, so let's talk about these axles real quick. When you go to pull the axle out, you're going to take the 4 nuts on the flange off. So you got 1, 2, and then there's 2 on the bottom, and that loosens this whole flange. It holds the axle in. One point I wanted to make was your ABS sensor is actually curved, and it's curved in towards the tone ring. which is this right here. So what you want to do before you pull these axles out is loosen the ABS sensor like this. Take this out and basically either pull the sensor completely out like this, or if you got a JK, they're much fatter, they're much bigger, and they don't really come out very easy. Just push it back until the tip is still stuck in the housing, to where it looks like this. I don't know if you can see that or not, it's hard to see. Where it's just stuck in there like that, because if you have it in all the way, then it gets in the way of the retention plate. So you got to make sure you take this out, so you don't break it. If you break it, it's just something else you got to buy for this whole process. That's the last thing you want, because usually you're doing this on the weekend when everything's closed. At least everything for the parts that you really need. So the next step would be to take the axle shaft out, and there's a handy way to do that. Let me see if I can get my camera set up here where I can just do it and show you. It's a professional production. There we go. So you're going to take the rotor, slip the rotor on backwards, and then you're going to take at least three lug nuts, put the lug nuts on, put them on 5 or 6 threads, and just pick 3 of them. And then you're going to use this as a slide hammer. So you're just going to grab it, and then you're going to slide hammer the axle out, just like that. When it comes out, take the lug nuts off. Take the rotor off, and then just slide the axle out. Now that you have the axle out, there's a couple things you want to look at. The very first thing you should do during this project is look at these splines. So if these splines, you can see the engagement, how far they engage into the differential itself, into the spider gears. What you're going to end up finding, especially guys that wheel in the factory axles, from the engagement point up, these will be twisted. If they're twisted, it is time to replace the axle shaft or upgrade. If you're wheeling and you're wheeling hard and you're bending them, this is the time to put in chromolyes. If you discover this during the process and you want to buy chromolyes later, you can put these back in with them bent. It's not a problem, it'll run just fine. Just make sure that you're accepting the risk if you go wheeling that you may break it, or add chromoly shafts or heavier duty shaft or new stock shafts to your Christmas list or something. Yeah, other than that, I'm going to take the other side out, and I'll make another video here in a bit.